How's it going, guys? Cody back again, dropping yet another video. Right, guys, this video, as you can see from the title, is going to be about coronavirus, or Covid-19 as the media have labelled it, and it's about prisons, prisoners, prison officers, and that whole dynamic. Now, as a former prisoner, I'm going to do my bit at the end, but I'm going to read the story. This is in the Metro. I'll put a link in the description below, like you always do. Headline reads: British prisoners could be released to stop coronavirus spread. Inmates could be released to prevent the spread of coronavirus, the head of the Prison Officers Association has said. General Secretary Steve Gillen described the coronavirus situation in prisons as unprecedented for both prisoners and staff. He said the release of prisoners may come in the future, as he told Sky. This is one of the most critical issues going, and I'm pleased to say we're working constructively with government and with employers. In response to the international coronavirus outbreak, Iran has freed tens of thousands of prisoners to prevent the spread of the illness behind bars. When asked if releasing some prisoners was in the contingency plan, Mr. Gillen said, "Not as yet, but previous governments have done what was called an executive release of prisoners. That may come in the future to free up some spaces within our prisons." He explained this could be in the form of a temporary release or the release of prisoners towards the end of their sentences. The Secretary of State has the powers to look at low-risk category prisoners and release them as of the executive release, he added. Mr. Gillen said a limited amount of single-cell capacity cells in the prison system would cause problems, while 75 prisoners are currently in isolation. He said, "No one to my knowledge as of this morning has actually been tested positive, but they have been isolated in single-cell accommodation. We all know prisons are grossly overcrowded and that can only happen for a period of time." He added that prisons would need more resources to accommodate officers' overtime and sickness. "We can't just send prison officers home to self-isolate. That's one of those occupations," Mr. Gillen said. Prisons Minister Lucy Fraser previously said prison staff were working closely with the Department for Health and the NHS to manage challenges, and urged anyone with symptoms of Covid-19 to avoid visiting a relative behind bars. In an announcement on Thursday, Ms. Fraser said, bless me, the safety of staff, inmates and visitors were paramount, adding measures were being taken, including putting up posters to promote good hygiene and stock up on soap and cleaning materials. She said prisons have existing well-developed policies and procedures in place to manage outbreaks of infectious diseases. This means that prisons are well prepared to take immediate action whenever cases or suspected cases are identified, including isolating individuals where necessary. And I think that is the end of the story. Now, first thing off the bat, he's not the head of Steve Gillen is the General Secretary for the Prison Officers Association. The national chair is a Scouser by the name of Mark Fairhurst. Now, like I've said, if the talk it right now, like I said, I'm for prisoners, you know this, right? But the fact is this is going to play out one of two ways, right? Prisoners are sitting ducks, right? And if COVID-19 hits a prison, it's going to run through that prison, guys. People living in close proximity. Prisons are overcrowded. You've got cells meant for one person. You've got two people in. And in certain prisons, I believe there's three people sharing the cells in certain prisons. There's a distinct lack of single-cell cells within prison. So it'd be hard to isolate them on the wing and stuff like that in a single cell, because single cells are saved for high-risk prisoners, racially and high-risk prisoners. The healthcare wing. Look at Berwyn, HMP Berwyn, the UK's super prison, super in only its size and its failings. To my knowledge, and from the people that I've ever spoken to that have been in that prison, right, they don't even have a healthcare wing within the prison, right? So healthcare is one option for people that might need to be self-isolated, right? They could put them on CC or cell confinement, right? That could be another way to isolate them. But like I've said, there's a distinct lack of, you can't pull someone out of say someone's high risk on the wing, you can't pull a high risk prisoner out of a single cell because it's just mandatory that it's more or less mandatory that they get a single cell. You can't pull a prisoner out of a single cell and say, right, you're going to double up with him, and then take the kid that might potentially have COVID-19 and put him in a single cell. It's not the done thing. Like I said, healthcare is used for exactly that, healthcare, but seeing the record levels of violence within our prisons, record levels of self-harm, and healthcare is also used for inmates that, like, there was a child murderer, there was someone that was alleged, I've got to use that word, alleged, to have thrown a baby in a river in the town where I used to live, right? And he got significant mental health issues. And because he was high profile and there was a potential that he was going to be attacked even if he went onto protection wings, they put him in the healthcare wing, keeping him out of the way. So that was used as for solitary, to keep him away from the general population, right? So like I said, and then you've got, look at Forest Bank, my former prison, right? The SEG is a very small wing, right? And like I said, the healthcare wing's full. So then you've got the SEG. If you've not got the SEG, you use the healthcare, or use the healthcare till the healthcare wing's full. And then you could use the segregation units within the prison system as an overspill. But like I said, you can't self-isolate a prisoner in a single cell when there's a distinct lack of single cells. It scares me genuinely, as a former prisoner, really, really scares me that the idea that this COVID-19, if it hits prisons, guys, it's going to cause deaths, guys. But like I've said, I've seen conflicting reports again. I saw something from SARS that they said they believe that it can be potentially an airborne virus, where it can be spread through the air, people sneezing, coughing and stuff like that. You've got to look at that. There might be a little bit of truth in that. The fact that people are buying these masks and telling people to cover their faces when they're sneezing, and people are buying these like masks and stuff like that, so that they don't breathe things in and stuff. But everyone, wash your hands 20 times a day. When I was in Strangeways, right, before I got my money in and stuff like that, right, which it took ages to get my money in, right, so I could buy things on the canteen, right, because I was remanded, I was just nicked on the street and everything, right. So I used to have to beg for toilet roll, I used to have to beg for toothpaste, soap and everything else, right. Now, toothpaste, and you can't get hand sanitizer in prison, right, especially those that have got an alcohol percentage, because you get prisoners out there, as crazy as it sounds, that would try and drink it. It's mad as that sounds, right. So you used to have to beg for soap, right. Hand sanitizer, I've never seen any in prison, never seen any hand sanitizer at all. Prison soap and everything. But you've got a lot of people living in close proximity. If it is an airborne virus, when I was in Forest Bank, they used to have the like these fans on the wing. It was just recycled, like it was just looped like oxygen and stuff. So if somebody had the flu, right, that everyone would end up on the wing getting flu virus symptoms, right? And like I said, you used to have like like an AC sort of thing, and it used to just recycle the air, just re-gurgle the air. So it was swallowing the virus up, and then it was spitting it back out into the wing. People are getting it. Then people, because obviously I was a cleaner on the induction wing, so then people getting fed down to the main, and other people were getting ill. Healthcare in prisons absolutely shocking at the worst of times anyway. Right, sorry, at the best of times, healthcare in prisons just beyond words, guys. It really, really is. The fact is, and what annoys me as well, when you read this article, right, and they're saying, oh, we're going to release prisoners to take the strain off the prison system and cut down on the chances of people getting the COVID-19 or the coronavirus. Do you think that the courts are going to stop sending people to prison? Of course they're not. And the thing is, we've got an ever-aging prison population, right? Historical sex offences and everything are getting done 20, 30, 40 years after they've committed their offences. So they're in the system. Like I said, I'm not really bothered about sex offenders dropping dead. But like I said, we've got an aging prison population, those prisoners that are on serving whole life tariffs, meaning for my American subscribers, that means that they're never eligible for parole. So it's like life without parole. So prisoners are getting older. Like I said, when you're in prison, right, for me, your life expectancy comes down. The longer, if you're serving 20, 30 years, right, and you're in prison, if you need regular hospital treatment, if you've got COPD, if you've got any form of cancer, right, unfortunately and sadly, chances are you're going to leave prison in a body bag. They haven't got enough staff. Say they ended up quarantining them in these hospitals and stuff like that, right? That would take staff off the landings. When I went to the hospital, when I was in Strangeways on remand, I had to go to the hospital, right? I more or less dislocated my knee. It was like a partial dislocation, right? My knee was blew up like a balloon. Some nurse came to me and said, I can give you some dissolvable Codamol or whatever it was, right? Ibuprofen or something. So I kicked off, had to go have a Skype interview with the doctor. The doctor couldn't see my knee. So then they put me back in my cell, waited about 2 hours overall, got me transport and took me to the hospital. I was cuffed. There was 5 prison officers in the escort. Now, I wasn't a Cat A prisoner. I wasn't an E-list prisoner, escape list prisoner. No, right? I had 5 officers with me, right? 6 including the driver, right? So they can't take, so say a prisoner has to go to hospital, say a category A prisoner, right, gets and has to go to hospital, right, for like I said, for quarantine or whatever, if they've got no place within the prison, right, it takes officers off the wings. Then you've got the chances officers getting it. Then you've got visits. Now, this is going to be a big thing for me, right? Now, prison visits are an integral part of keeping a prisoner's head on his shoulders, right? Now, we're seeing the Premier League and the English Football League have cancelled games till the 3rd of April, right? And that's just as a precaution. That could be spread to other things, like to other sporting events and everything else, and things could close down, and there's this, people are scared and they're stocking up and all this mad stuff, right? But prison officers could get it. The prison visits, for me, if prison visits suffer and they stop people coming to the prison on a visit, flipping the COVID-19 situation, right, away from the potential death, suffering of prisoners, prison officers, right, would be to stop prison visits. Now, if you stop a prison visit, that could be the straw that breaks the camel's back in the regard of prison riots. Because like I said, a lot of prisoners, they bank. If you're in prison and you're convicted, you'll get 1 visit a week, unless you're enhanced, and you can get an extra visit a month. If you're on remand, you can have a visit every day for half an hour, or you can have like a 2.5 hour block visit a week, right? But the point is, prisoners, they rely that family structure, that support network whilst you're in prison, for me, honestly, can be the difference between life and death. And if prisons start to, because like I said, the prison would be doing it rather than being spiteful, which I'd normally be like, right, it's spiteful, this, and they're trying to antagonize prisoners, right? This time it's sort of government ran, to be honest with you. And, the NHS have recommended this and the health board have said this, right? If they stop prison visits, prisoners, it could cause serious problems within the prison system. Now, like I said, we know that the criminal justice system here in the UK, or as I call it, the criminal abuse system, has long been a powder keg, right? This COVID-19 thing, if the prisons are told to stop letting family visits take place, right, it's going to cause issues. Now, what could happen is they could put people on a closed visit. But a closed visit is a punishment visit, right? A closed visit is, if you've ever seen these films in America where you see it in America, or you've seen like Piers Morgan on death row or something, right? And they'll go to the thing and they're talking through the glass and they're doing the whole phone thing and stuff like that, right? It's a glass, it's like, they call it the bubble, right? But it is a punishment visit. Say you've been caught with a positive drugs test or something, they might think, well, hang on, to cut that avenue down, we're going to put everyone that's being caught on a positive drug test, and we're going to put them on a closed visit. It's a punishment visit. If you get caught copping for a parcel on a visit. For those that don't know, a parcel would be contraband, drugs, mobile phones, things like that, new psychoactive substances like spice, right? So if you cop for a parcel on a visit, you could end up on a closed visit, right? And like I said, the idea is you can't physically touch the person. There's a glass partition. They come in one door, you come in the other door, and you have to have your visit that way. Nobody likes it, but it's better than nothing. But the fact is that's a punishment visit, so prisoners wouldn't accept being put on closed visits. No, it's going to cause serious issues. Like I've said, prison officers are massively understaffed now, right? If any prison officers get this coronavirus, right, and they have to go sick, right, or they're milking it, or they feign that they've got it, right, or they've got symptoms of it, so they're self-isolating for that reason, right, they're not going to have enough staff to let the lads out to have a productive and I'm going to say productive, not a productive regime really, is it? But it's going to impact the prisoners again. This is the problem, guys. If that coronavirus hits the prison, right, it could wipe out. It scares me genuinely. I'm for prisoners, right? It scares me, the idea of that coronavirus. If that lands on one wing, and I've seen it where people have said that they've not had symptoms, but they've tested positive down the line. It's a respiratory thing, isn't it? It's like cold and flu sort of symptoms, but it's to do with your breathing and everything, which is obviously paramount to your living, and that's why people have sadly and tragically passed away. But if that coronavirus finds its way into any prison, it could cause so much carnage, death, misery and despair, just like it is for people on the out. But in prison, imagine being in like a chicken in like one of them coop things, like when they used to like in the cages and everything. You like your human warehousing chickens, like your human warehousing prisoners. Some of them are very susceptible, some are very vulnerable, some have got significant mental health, some of them have just got significant health problems, and they're in prison, right? And in prison you get a vitamin D deficiency because you don't get that much natural light. Prisoners cover the windows and stuff, and you get a vitamin D deficiency and stuff, right? And you share in your shower and your ablutions, right? Because on the certain prisons have got a shower in the cells. I think Loudon Grange does, but most prisoners, Strangeways, Forest Bank, it's a communal shower area and stuff like that. And infectious diseases are about in prison, right? When I first went to prison, I was told never, ever, ever shower without wearing flip-flops. So I bought some flip-flops on the canteen, because the fact is you can get like verrucas and things like that. Going up from that, when I was in Forest Bank, I actually had I can't think what it's called, Hep C. Vaccinate Hep B or Hep C. I don't think it was a Hep C. I think it was a Hep B. I had my Hep B jab when I was in prison because vaccinations, because people are about and everything, and you can pick up diseases in prison. You're living in close proximity, right? The air is recycled air. It's just regurgled and spat back through and spat back through and spat back through. So that virus, say it is airborne, it's not being confirmed as airborne, but the fact that everyone's told not to cough and sneeze and cover your mouth and stuff, which is just common sense anyway, right? But people are buying these masks. So for me, and it's like washing hands and shaking hands and body contact and all this, right? If you put that into a prison and look at, don't share cutlery, don't share like plates and stuff. Now your cutlery, easy for me to say, you keep your own, right? And you wash your own, right? But if you don't buy your own plate on the canteen, you are eating off them plastic, horrible, skewer dinner things that other people have often, thousands of men have eaten off, right? If that virus finds its way into prison, it is indeed airborne. It could wipe out wings, man, and it could have countless deaths on our hand. If you're out and about, you've got oxygen and like stuff like that, and you can go here and go there, and you can self-isolate and take when you're not working, or if you're not working, you can self-isolate and do everything you need to do. When you're in prison, you're locked in your cells. The higher the category prison you're in, the more you're locked down every day. But like I said, you're going on visits, you different officers coming and going and stuff. People, it's a mad fucking things, man. And prisons, right? So a lot of these prisons are crumbling, they're decrepit, they're ran down, they're not fit for purpose, right? So they're not clean. Even the shower blocks, and you've got cleaners on the wings and stuff like that, right? It really worries me and scares me, the prospect of COVID-19 hitting prisons, because, like I said, prisoners, unfortunately, are sitting ducks, right? And like I've said, that it could come in on visits, it could come in with some being sent down for the first time, or being recalled or whatever, back to prison. It could come in someone that's coming up on a visit. They could be carrying the virus unknowingly. They give it to you. You go back to the wing. You're getting about the wing. You're sharing your cell. One man becomes two men. If it is an airborne virus, then you're on the wing and stuff like that, and it can be regurgitated there and it's thrown back into onto the wing. Other people could get struck down, officers, and that is the roundabout that it becomes. It's like Russian roulette, guys. But I'm praying to God that prisoners, that it doesn't end up in prison. If it ends up on the VP wing, then, like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But I'm praying and hoping that it does not end up in prison, guys. So if anyone's got if anyone's got a loved one in prison, and there's anything to do with the coronavirus or COVID-19 even, and you've got some pictures of paperwork or something like that, I'll put my number in the description. Send them me. I'd love to have a browse and a read and stuff, and we'll get it to the media. I'm going to leave it there, guys. Stay safe when you're out there, guys. Wash your hands. Do what you're doing. Stay safe. I'm going to leave it there. Like, comment, subscribe. Cody out.